Hey, we are Straight Facts Homie live on YouTube. Thanks for finding us. Going to react to Monday Night Football, Patriots and Cardinals on a Tuesday because it is I commend John Lyons for going live in his other venue. You know, I personally do not have that time to be talking about a football game until 2 a.m., but I commend you, sir.
Thank you. You know, it's not the earliest of nights I've had, but at least Patriots had a win that I got to talk about.
Sure. And Walter will be partying in Morocco, I guess. Is what we learned pre-show.
15 hours.
There you go. Is that tomorrow, Wednesday? The other leg of the World Cup?
2 p.m. kickoff.
There you go. All right. With that being said, we're going to react to Patriots and Cardinals on YouTube. We're on Facebook and Twitter, but you'll find out everything else as we record live to tape for TCAM. Let me get my timer out of sorts as usual. Here we go. In a 3, 2. Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, into the one and only Straight Facts Homie, a 60-minute NFL TV show, podcast, lifestyle coming your way. I'm Mason Souza, this is Walter Sabina, and John Lyons. The Patriots take care of business on Monday Night Football. They moved to 7-6. Currently speaking, they are in the playoff picture. How legit is that? We'll discuss the game itself, how they looked, outbursts, et cetera, et cetera. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube live for the first segment as usual. We would like to want you to join in on the conversation. If you have questions and concerns, we will read them out and get you into the program for the first 15-20 minutes or so every week. With that being said, gentlemen, Monday Night Football, Patriots have come and gone for week 14, 4 games left. Walter, how about we begin with you? Your takeaway from the Patriots moving to 7-6.
Yeah, I mean, you look on paper, 27-13. You think, okay, this is a team that they've kind of got it. They're starting to hit their stride. But I'm kind of putting this win in the same category as the Detroit Lions win and the Cleveland Browns win. You beat a depleted team, and you kind of look dominant doing it. And I think a lot of people are going to kind of look at this game and be like, all right, the Patriots have turned the page. They flipped the switch, whatever. They're now heading into Vegas to play a Raiders team who've blown yet another 13 plus point lead this season. And maybe this can be the momentum shift that they need to make a playoff push. So, but I'm putting it in the category of the Lions and Browns because they're playing, like I said, depleted teams. Kyler Murray goes out the third play of the game. Unfortunately, a torn ACL for him. So they bring in Colt McCoy and kind of plays right into the Patriots game plan defensively. The Cardinals are missing guys on their offensive line. You've got a pocket quarterback in Colt McCoy who can use his legs at a time, but not to the likes of a guy like Kyler Murray. So they could the defense could just pin their ears back and go, which the pass rush then helped the linebackers in the secondary and pass coverage. So it's kind of one of those games where the defense performed a lot better than I think they really are. And again, we saw that against the Buffalo Bills. We saw that against the Minnesota Vikings. And when you play these weak teams, people will kind of buy in and think, oh, this is the Patriots of old. This is the Patriots we expect to see. And, you know, defense, they perform well. 6 sacks of Colt McCoy, Josh Uche, 3 sacks. I believe him and Judon are the first pair this season to reach double-digit sacks. But the offense, I mean, there was still frustration on the offense. They did move the ball. Mac Jones had a couple nice seam route throws to Hunter Henry. The rookies stepped up, Pierre Strong and Kevin Harris. They each had a first rushing touchdown in 6 games for the Patriots. So that kind of, illustrates some of the struggles the Patriots have had on offense. But again, I think they were 3 for 9 or 3 for 11 on third down. So they need some more third downs. They did get 2 red zone touchdowns this week. So that's a big plus, but you could still see the struggles and the visible frustration from Mac Jones in this game. So kind of overall, it's a nice win in the standings to keep you in the playoff race. But in terms of, I still think we're looking for that identity as an offense, who we are as a team. And I think that while the defense played well against a depleted team, it's not really who the defense is at this point in the season. So again, you could take a lot from it, but I still think there's question marks. And when you still have question marks heading into week 15, I think it's not a good recipe for success.
Yeah, guys, look, I think we all need to pause and have a moment of appreciation for the fact that the Patriots scored not 1, but 2 red zone touchdowns. I mean, holy smokes. I didn't think they could even score 1 for the rest of the season. And they got 2 in one night. And of course, it was the 2 rookie running backs that scored it. So I mean, that's pretty impressive in itself. And look, I think this game, and I agree with a lot of what Walter said. Arizona was depleted. We all know they're frauds anyway, and they're depleted frauds now. So that's even another level of being a fraud team. They're depleted, and then Kyler Murray goes down on the third play of the game. And I think that has to be mentioned. That was a huge part of this game. But again, the Patriots were without Jacoby Myers, Jalen Mills, Ramondre Stevenson missed most of the game. Damian Harris missed all of it. So I think for the Patriots, yeah, you played against a team that is a bad team and a team that was depleted, but you had your own injuries and you played pretty well start to finish, especially on defense. Now, offensively, look, they had the 2 red zone touchdowns, which was great. They scored 20 offensive points. They still had 4 3-and-outs and then a 4-and-out as well. So they were still punting a lot and giving the ball away pretty quickly. They did have an interception, which I don't really put that on Mac Jones. Cardinals rushed 5. They had 7-man protection, and guys were still on top of him in less than 3 seconds. So I don't put that on him as much. But I think it was something that we saw some signs of progress. Like defensively, I think they played really well. I mean, they had 1 touchdown drive. Other than that, they were pretty much locked down, which, frankly, against Colt McCoy coming in cold, you probably should be pretty dominant. And I think it's good that they were. And offensively, I think it was not as good as the Vikings game, but I think it was a lot better than the other games around that. It was better than the Jet games, the Colts game, the Bills game. So we saw some signs of progress. The biggest thing to me, progress-wise, was the red zone touchdowns, the play of the rookie running backs. But to Walter's point, this was not a 35-10 dominant performance where they did whatever they want against a bad defense. It's still not, to me, playoff standards on offense. Now, defensively, last night, I thought that was playoff standard defense. Locked everything down except for 1 touchdown drive. They scored a touchdown of their own, forced a couple turnovers, but it's still not playoff level offense. So it's a good win on the road to keep them in the playoff hunt, but I don't want to mistake this with, oh, they're back and they're a legit playoff team despite being in the 7th seed right now.
Yeah, I agree with that last point, John. Definitely that there's more to be desired. I would have hoped, like, okay, give me a 3 touchdown performance, give me a little bit more in the red zone, and then, okay, maybe you have something. Maybe you can turn the corner with 11-day rest. Who knows? You pull something out of a hat here. But I just chalk it up to the Cardinals are a dumb team. Cliff Kingsbury is in way over his head. They go for it on 4th down way too much, and it shows in their record 4-8. They went for 4th down twice. Jelani Tavai out of nowhere with a tipped pass on 4th and 1, and then a 4th and 5 Marquise Brown drop. What are you doing going for on 4th down when the Patriots offense can't consistently move the ball down the field? So just, terrible coaching and that aspect. And then DeAndre Hopkins, of all people, straight up dropping a ball. It'll go down as Kyle Duggar forced fumble. I don't think he even touched the ball. He just dropped it, and then Raekwon McMillan essentially jogs down the sideline, scoop and score, ice cream, if you will. If you play NFL Street, that's 30,000 style points, and then the game is over at that point. So, yeah, the Cardinals are a dumb team. The Patriots still with the offensive penalties, getting in the red zone. There was... Actually, no, I was worried. There was a touchdown, and then a flag comes in. I'm like, all right, here we go. 10 yards back, another red zone penalty mishap, but it was offsides. The red zone happens. This kind of chalks up to, wow, we got the Bills to punt, last week. That's awesome. Yay, we got a red zone touchdown. Progress. This is progress, everybody. Baby steps at this point. But at the same time, like as I said at the start of the show, 7-6, are they a playoff team? Technically, yes. If the season ends today, yes. But John, to your last point, this is not playoff football. This is not a team that should be on primetime television come January, whatever, when it comes for the wild card. So there's more to be desired. I see Shane already in the comments on YouTube. McDaniels and Patricia, a battle of lack of wit, or whatever the comment was. Yeah, that'll be something, and we'll discuss that in the 4th quarter when we pick the Patriots and Raiders. But besides the point, they beat up on a team kind of that they should have. They moved to 7-6. They're in control of their own destiny at this moment.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned it. Like this is a game you would expect them to really put the beat down on a team like this. You just lost your starting quarterback, who was maybe the string that was holding the whole offense together, and maybe a chance to beat the Patriots. I'd pick the Cardinals to beat the Patriots because I thought Kyler Murray would have a day. The Patriots have usually struggled with mobile quarterbacks, and with a depleted offensive line, you would see Kyler Murray running for his life. And usually when he's running for his life, he usually finds success, whether it be running the ball or throwing the ball. But again, it was, game plan changed. I think it changed in favor of the Patriots defensively, and you kind of saw what it did. But offensively, it was kind of the same struggles we had seen. Now I know we had people missing. Devontae Parker goes down. He misses the rest of the game with what's probably going to be a concussion. Ramondre Stevenson goes down with the ankle injury. It seemed like there was plenty of people in this game going down on that field with injury. So could be a field thing strictly there in Arizona. I don't know. But the young guys, this is kind of one of those games too, where those deep draft picks of Bill Belichick, it shows you that those depth pieces can really help out in moments like this, because had we not drafted a running back, knowing we already had Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, who would have been our running back? JJ Taylor. Are we expecting JJ Taylor to carry the ball, 15, 20 times against this Cardinals defense? But, the depth pieces really, really stepped up, the young guys and Pierre Strong and Kevin Harris. But I was still expecting maybe a little bit more of a dominant performance. And then that kind of goes back to the offense, just not, in my opinion, being on the same page. And again, like I said, it comes back to the injuries, not having the guys, but you still got guys like Kendrick Bourne. You've got Hunter Henry. We're still waiting for Jonnu Smith to really break out and get involved in the offense in one way or another. So I think you still have the pieces there, despite Jacoby Myers not being there, despite Devontae Parker leaving the game early. Nelson Aguilar is another piece. So it's still there, but the offense is still a long way from me, to say it's the offense to be desired for, but you can't be having these sort of mishaps and 3 and outs and moving backwards with penalties this late in the season if you really want to be considered a playoff team. And again, I don't think they're a playoff team. They got this win. I said they weren't going to win a game for the rest of the year on last week's show, but they got the win against a depleted team. I still want to see if they can really perform against some of these playoff teams, which they will be playing. Whether you want to consider Vegas a playoff team or not, they're still practically in the hunt mathematically, but the Cincinnatis, the Miamis, the Buffaloes, the final 3 weeks of the season, that's going to be the real test. And I just don't, there's still too many questions from this offense and even defense against good teams to really consider them a playoff team.
Yeah, I want to follow up on one thing that Walter talked about, and that was the play of some of the Patriots' younger players. And the most positive thing I took from this game, not just from this game per se, but for a long-term thing, is how well some of their first, second, and third year guys played. Josh Uche had 3 sacks. That means he now has 10 sacks on the year, all of them within the last 5 games that he's played. And the Patriots, by the way, with Josh Uche and Matt Judon, are the first team in the NFL to have 2 guys with double-digit sacks this season. And Uche not only had the 3 sacks, he had the pressure that forced an underthrow by Colt McCoy on Marcus Jones' interception. Marcus Jones, he had the interception, played 67% of the defensive snaps, 14% of the offensive snaps, and oh, by the way, had 2 kick returns for 47 yards. We already mentioned Kevin Harris and Pierre Strong. Both of them scored their first career touchdown. Tyquan Thornton only had 4 catches. 2 of them went for big first downs on scoring drives. So I look at the play of some of the Patriots' younger players. I know, Mason, you said that Kyle Duggar didn't really force the fumble on DeAndre Hopkins. I won't argue that, but he gets credited with it. He was in the tackle on the play. He's played really well this year. So I think the play of a lot of the Patriots' young players made a huge difference on Monday night. And that's really, when we look at the Patriots from a macro level, we can talk about the frustrations with Matt Patricia and Joe Judge and how the offense has been really inconsistent and at times really bad this year. You got to think that the coaching situation is going to get fixed in the offseason. So what you want to see now is progression by these younger players, because when the coaching situation does get fixed and this team has the potential, say next year, to be a real threat, to be a good team, well, you have to have the players progressing on their rookie deals to do it. And I thought Monday night against Arizona was a good sign. And it wasn't just a one-off. These guys, Uche's been good the last 5 games. Marcus Jones has been good all year. Jack Jones has been good all year. Christian Barmore was a force last year, and until he got hurt this year, was good. Obviously, the biggest name there is Mac Jones, and he has not been very good this year, but he had his best game of the year against Minnesota. Now, 2 weeks later, he throws for 235 yards, plays pretty well, made some big throws. I thought that second Patriots touchdown drive was one of his best drives of the year. And I think if you can keep getting that progression, regardless if they make the playoffs, that's something to build on. But also, let's not bury the lead here. This is a team that did make the playoffs last year. So you want to see them make the playoffs and also have these guys progress. But that, to me, was the biggest positive besides the actual win itself.
Yes, I agree. To reiterate that point, John, it's a good point that, okay, We went the talk the last few years, or 5, 6, 7 years, if you will, was like the drafting of Bill Belichick has been poor to, very below average. The last couple of years, it's shown signs of, okay, we got some star players here with all those names you just mentioned. They contributed. Guys stepped up when people went down. Like Walter, you mentioned, obviously Parker went out with a concussion. It seemed like early in the game. Ramondre Stevenson, their best offensive player, goes down, and then these rookie running backs come in and have red zone touchdowns when the Patriots didn't have a rushing touchdown in the previous 5 weeks. So maybe Stevenson is expendable, but that's beyond the point. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to get into that right now, but we can if you want. And at the same time, something that we can get to later down the line. And John, you mentioned this with some confidence. I'm not so sure. Talking about, you would think the coaching situation gets changed in the offseason. We've been talking about it for almost 365 days at this point. If somehow the Patriots hang on and become a playoff team, does that resonate in Bill Belichick's mind? Like, we're a playoff team. It worked out. We're going to keep it as is. We can discuss that another time. That would drive me batty, but we could do 60 minutes on that. Jason in the comments brings me to my point that I want to facilitate to you guys. Mac Jones, his fate. I'll just read the comment and then we can go from there. My favorite play of the game was Mac waving off Patricia and telling him to F off. Yeah, that's what he did. I want to get you guys' opinion on that. That's been 2 straight weeks now. We saw the lip reading on Thursday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills. Saying some choice words, saying like the quick game, the pass game, the run game sucks. Let's do this. Questioning the coaches on national TV. 11 days later, same thing. Doing it on national TV, literally giving the get out of my face. I got this. What's that all about? Is that room for concern? Is that Mac getting too big for his britches here? Your assessment on Mac the last couple of weeks with his emotions running high.
I mean, I wouldn't even say it's the last couple of weeks. We've been hearing about this frustration since training camp. So, yeah. I mean, I think it's just at a point now where it's kind of overflowed, and now Mac's just like, I have to like visibly be upset with what we're doing. We're fighting for a playoff spot. This is when your emotions are running high. You've got to put good performances together late in the season to solidify yourself as a playoff team. And Mac, I'm looking up Mac Jones' career numbers right now, and I mean it's only 2 years, but last year 22 touchdowns. He was able to throw the ball and kind of dictate things in the line, audible under Josh McDaniels. And this year, a starting quarterback in the NFL this day and age in 2022 has 7 touchdown passes and 8 interceptions. I mean, if you can't trust your quarterback to kind of change plays the line, and we've heard this philosophy of like whatever play is called, you run that, and that's probably just an overload of frustration on Mac Jones' part. So he's, what else can I do besides just visibly get frustrated? And I know he kind of apologizes afterwards for just showing that emotion, but I mean, we all see it. We don't need to see Mac Jones' frustration to know that this offense isn't where it should be, especially with the talent they have on this team, even despite the weapons they didn't have during yesterday's game. I've always thought that the talent is really good. The quarterback, I think it can grow. He's regressed a lot this year, and I think it just comes down to the play calling of Matt Patricia. And I'm fine with him. I didn't see anything wrong with it. People get frustrated. We've seen Tom Brady blow up with Bill O'Brien back in the day. We've seen Brady blow up with Josh McDaniels on the sideline. It's just the emotions of the game, and I don't know. I see nothing wrong with it, but I think it comes down to the play calling of Matt Patricia, and that's just an overload of frustration on Mac Jones' shoulders, and it's finally, coming to a head.
Yeah, Walter, I'm glad you referenced the Brady incidents with Bill O'Brien and Josh McDaniels, because I was going to do the same thing. And look, I'll say the same thing right now that I said after the Bills game. I understand Mac Jones's frustration, and I appreciate that he cares and that this is his passion. But swearing at your coach on the sidelines on a national TV game, I don't think that's the right way to handle it. I think there's better ways to handle, whether it's approaching him one-on-one or just trying your best to go through the plays. And look, we agree on this show, Bill Belichick's the greatest head coach of all time. If he is, which I think he is, he's going to recognize this isn't working at some point and make a change. So that's something else that you probably have to believe in as a player as you go through it. But look, I appreciate the passion. I'm glad that he cares. I just don't like the swearing at your coach in the middle of the sidelines during a game. I don't think that's really the best way or the most productive way to handle it. So like the passion, not really and I said the same thing when Tom Brady had his sideline blowups with McDaniels and Bill O'Brien, right? Like, I appreciate the passion. Don't really like that part of it, though.
You see, if you win, then this gets brushed under the rug.
Yeah.
If you are consistent, if you are good, if you throw more touchdowns than you do interceptions by like a 75% rate, that is washed under the rug. If you are inconsistent, muddling around 500, and you are losing games, this can backfire rapidly, real quick, and you lose a lock. And now you're at a situation where we talked about it a little briefly last week after the Bills game on Thursday Night Football about, Kendrick Bourne post game, like, oh, we need to scheme it up better. Now you have little cliques happening in the locker room, like a mutiny, if you will, between the players and coaches. The teammates see Mac waving off the play caller, assuming that's who he's talking to in his headset or whatever, in his helmet, I should say. Yeah, if that game went sideways, wow, that would be story number one. And here we are talking about it at the end of the segment, after like the Patriots pulled it together late in the third, fourth quarter, they pulled away a little bit. But yeah, you're playing a dangerous game at this point, Mac Jones. And Walter, you brought up the stats, obviously very young into his career. Dude, you haven't done anything yet. And yes, John, you mentioned it a couple times. Yes, the coaching situation is obviously not working. And we can all see that. And Mac has brought his frustrations to the front right now. But like, man, like, you got to fall in line at this point and do what you're told, at this point until you win. Then we can't have that, maybe on a CBS 1:00 game when no one's watching, no offense to those lovely broadcasts, but on Monday Night Football, you're going to do that a couple times. Ooh, I personally love it. I love to see that, love the emotion, love the drama. But yeah, as for inside the locker room, in the facility, yeah, you would think there's going to be some conversation I'm sure it's already happened at one Patriot place, but continuing on throughout the week and the remainder of the season. That's Pat's talk. That's Pats and Cardinals and drama behind the scenes coming to the forefront. But facts are facts. The Patriots are 7-6 and hold a playoff spot at the current moment in time. In come old friend Josh McDaniels, as the aforementioned McDaniels. We'll discuss them later in the quarter, but for the time being, thank you for watching on YouTube Live for the first quarter. For everyone else, quarter number 2, Straight Facts Only. Thanks for watching on YouTube, guys. Thanks for contributing.